This is Love Your Work. On this show, we meet people who have carved out success by their own definition. I'm David Cadavy, best-selling author and entrepreneur. And I have a correction I'd like to start with. In my last episode, I told you I'd be doing a Quora session where you can ask me anything on April 20th. I'm still going to be doing the Quora session. It just turns out that it's this morning, the morning that this episode is released, April 21st, 2016, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. PST. There are a ton of great questions already submitted that I'll be answering, and you can upvote your favorites or you can ask your own at cadavy.net/Quora. And there continues to be great support from listeners like you. Thank you so much to Josiah Ubin for mentioning Love Your Work in his Medium post entitled, "You Should Listen to These 7 Design Podcasts." It's an honor to be included in that list with him describing the show like a breath of fresh air. Thank you, Josiah. And we should also now be in the Google Play store. In Google Play, apparently it's a new thing. They've got podcasts. I don't really know. I don't really use Google Play. But if you're one of those people who does, go subscribe to the show there. And you can also subscribe on Stitcher, Overcast, all sorts of other places, and especially iTunes. Most people listen to the show on iTunes. And I know sometimes I download a few episodes of a show and I listen and I decide whether I like the show or not, and then I forget to subscribe. It just sort of sits there and I keep listening without subscribing because iTunes makes it easy to do that, or the podcasting app anyway. So if you're one of those people, please just go and hit the subscribe button on iTunes. And if you get a chance to rate a review, that would be a huge help as well. Both of those things help, either one or both. And I have to say, I am really excited about where this podcast is going. Actually, the other day I was just talking to a friend on Hangouts, and his partner was in the room, and she said that she loved the show and that she was actually going to do a museum hack in Washington, D.C. after hearing the interview with Nick Gray, which is a great one. Go listen to it. So thanks, everybody, for reviewing. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for blogging. Thanks for telling your friends. And I just booked a few really big guests who have great stories to share. And I'm afraid to tell you their names right now, actually, because I just don't want to jinx it. And I know that sounds like some sort of a ploy or something, but honestly, I don't want to jinx it. It would really suck to tell you their names and then have something happen and that have it not happened. But I'm hopeful. So stay tuned. And one episode that I already have recorded is with Jody Ettenberg of Legal Nomads, and that's going to come next week. Jody used to be a lawyer. She quit several years ago to travel the world, and now she eats soup for a living. So stay tuned, and it's going to be full of great wisdom about going off the beaten path, what you learn from travel, and great wisdom about life in general. So I'm really looking forward to playing that one for you. On this show, I'm going to be sharing an article that I wrote a while back called The Behavioral Revolution, Not the Information Revolution. And I've been talking a lot about digital distraction and the economics of digital distraction lately, and pondering the potential ways we might be able to get out of where I feel like this is going. And one of those is a behavioral revolution, that we have all of this behavioral science knowledge, we have all this technology, and we can use all of that to improve people's behavior. So here it goes. This episode is brought to you by Treehouse. Take your career to the next level and learn from over 1,000 videos created by expert teachers on web design, coding, business, and much more. Claim your free 14-day free trial at cadavy.net/treehouse. You'll be supporting the show. The behavioral revolution, not the information revolution. I've come to a frightening realization. As the little car icon jitters toward my apartment on the map, I discover I've once again forgotten how to tie a bow tie. No worries, after a quick search, a debonair southern gentleman is explaining it to me. As I get my "Your Uber has arrived" text message, his calm and collected voice eases my anxiety over running late. Take the high side through the center and snap it shut. Success. Bow tie engaged. I arrive at the wedding expecting the usual compliments on my bow tie, but Then I noticed something. Nearly half of all the men at the wedding are wearing a bow tie too. Something has clearly changed. Bow tie literacy and why bow ties are popular again. When I got home, Google Trends revealed what I was surprised to witness at the wedding. Bow ties have become extremely popular. Look at how much searches for bow tie have outpaced searches for necktie over the past 10 years. You can't see it, but it's a lot. No doubt there are multiple reasons why bow ties have become so popular, but one of them is probably increased bow tie literacy. Not knowing how to tie a bow tie might have stopped you from wearing a bow tie 20 years ago, but it's not going to stop you today. Do a search, follow the instructions, and go back to not having any idea how to tie a bow tie. The information revolution has solved the bow tie problem. Thanks to the information revolution, the bow tie problem has been solved, along with many other problems. Take the restaurant problem. Wherever you are, you can find the highest rated restaurant on Yelp or Foursquare. There's the long-lost friend problem. All the people from your past are on Facebook, for better or for worse. There's also the when does the next bus come problem, the who's single problem, and the why do cabs cost so damn much problem. All of these are information problems. Any problem that can be solved with simple information is pretty much solved. But not all problems are so simple. The information revolution can't solve the lose weight problem. There are nearly, slightly fewer, if you can believe that, as many search results for how to lose weight as there are for how to tie a bow tie. Apparently, being thin isn't as popular as wearing bow ties. More than 1/3 of U.S. adults are obese. From an informational standpoint, losing weight is simple. Eat less, exercise more. From a behavioral standpoint, losing weight is clearly very hard. You have to overcome cravings, find the time and motivation to exercise, and fight through the barriers to do such things within an economy that thrives from making you obese. The coming behavioral revolution will solve the lose weight problem. Increasingly, we're finding that the challenges in our lives aren't challenges of information, they're challenges of behavior. Fortunately, we're poised to solve many of these problems. We have the knowledge for a behavioral revolution. In fact, we've had much of the knowledge to solve these problems for many decades. What's changing is who has the power to use that knowledge. In the past, advertisers used it to change our behavior and get us to buy things. The De Beers cartel has managed, over the last century, to make a diamond ring a must-have item for American brides. In the first half of the 1900s, Edward Bernays was instrumental in public relations campaigns that made bacon and eggs the all-American breakfast, and made it acceptable for women to smoke in public, which was a gold mine, in quotes, for the tobacco industry. Scientists are now quantifying the behavioral change techniques that advertisers have used intuitively for years. Dan Ariely, my colleague at Timeful, or former colleague, and Daniel Kahneman have done groundbreaking research that has shed light on why humans sometimes behave irrationally. Stanford's B.J. Fogg has been researching the way that behavior interacts with technology and how that technology can be used to change behavior. As we learn more about why people behave the way they do, the knowledge for a behavioral revolution is being transferred from advertisers and big businesses to individual entrepreneurs. This transfer may create the economic force necessary to make a behavioral revolution possible. We have the technology for a behavioral revolution. The power to persuade used to be controlled by a few giants. They targeted us through television, magazines, and newspapers. But today, we're persuaded by our friends through mobile devices. How many times have you donated to a cause after a friend shared something on social media? Mobile devices and wearable computing have introduced a vector for behavioral change. But as windows to endless distraction, they can end up blocking their own potential. The Apple Watch is poised to open up new avenues for behavioral change, but it remains to be seen if developers will step up to the challenge. One of the first apps available on the Apple Watch monitors the wearer's blood sugar. Dexcom, the app developer, will measure blood glucose levels every 5 minutes by way of a monitor inserted under the skin and display the results on a graph. That's tremendous progress for diabetics, but the simple act of providing a blood sugar reading is a simplistic use of this technology. When the Apple Watch can take blood sugar readings through less invasive means, such as through skin contact, there are myriad possibilities for behavioral change. Take, for example, one of the most commonly used and short-sighted examples of the potential of the Internet of Things. It goes something like this. One day, your refrigerator will be able to tell you your milk is about to spoil. Imagine if, instead, your Apple Watch told your fridge your blood sugar, and thus willpower, was low, and then your fridge suggested a nutritious snack before you could reach for the ice cream. As the Internet of Things continues to grow, it will introduce plenty of new touchpoints for altering our behavior, as long as the experience versus technology challenge is addressed. The experience versus technology challenge. To someone with a hammer, everything looks like a nail, and this is a big problem in product design. The behavioral revolution will require expertise in psychology and behavior change, but it will also require knowledge in hardware and software. The problem that many behavioral revolution founders will run into is that they only have expertise in one of those areas. Cross-disciplinary collaboration may be attempted, but the big home runs won't happen until someone steps forward with product vision that covers both disciplines. The first major step in the behavioral revolution will be a product that focuses on the experience, not the technology, and probably not too deeply on the psychology either. Until then, we'll have solutions that are either strong on behavioral theory but weak on technology, or strong on technology but weak on behavioral theory, or great software implemented on hardware that's too impractical to inspire any real behavioral change. A promising device that balances technology with behavioral science so far is Pavlok, the founder of whom has been on the show, a bracelet coupled with mobile software. The software gets your friends involved in helping keep your goals, and the bracelet will shock you, yes, literally, for failing. The good versus evil challenge. The big, scary challenge of the behavioral revolution is whether or not these new powers will be used for good or evil. Before the behavioral revolution can take place, there has to be sufficient economic force to solve the lose weight challenge and others like it. That economic force has to be stronger than the force in favor of using the behavioral revolution for the get people to crave cheaply produced low-quality foods and sell them drugs to treat their poor health approach. This isn't only about food and health. Insert your thing you care about here. It's easy to be cynical and use your brain calculator to see that clearly the latter approach will be more profitable and thus win. But emerging economic mechanics are making natural, cultural, and social capital more powerful elements in the economic equation. For example, Etsy, valued at over $3.5 billion, is a B Corp, a private certification that helps companies account for their social and environmental impact. As more small businesses are created, we are also seeing more socially conscious missions. It's hard to look back on Apple's famous 1984 commercial and deny that, at least for the time being, the personal computing and information revolution have allowed people like myself to make a living while acting with their health, values, and curiosities in mind. So, as tools and methodologies make the powers of persuasion available to individual entrepreneurs, there's hope that those powers will be used for good. Companies that aren't accountable to litigious public shareholders will feel less pressure to profit at the expense of less tangible forms of capital. Who will lead the behavioral revolution? We're on the cusp of the behavioral revolution. We've made great progress in the science of behavior change, and the technology to implement it is becoming ubiquitous. Hopefully, these powers will be used to bring humanity to a new plane of existence. To do so, we need entrepreneurs who will use cutting-edge technology with the latest behavioral knowledge to make our lives better. Who's up for the challenge? Well, there you have it. You can find that on Cadavy.net, or I believe also on Medium. If you just search for Cadavy, the Behavioral Revolution, then that is where you will find it. There's lots of links in there. So if it strikes your fancy, go there and read it and keep researching, and we'll figure out how to make this behavioral revolution happen. So, there we have it. Before I go, I gotta ask, do you like books? If you do, I'd love to send you my book recommendations. About 90% of them will be nonfiction on subjects spanning from biographies to neuroscience. Just go to cadavy.net/reading, sign up, and you'll get my first set of recommendations right away. You'll be supporting the show if you buy any of those books through the links in the email. This has been Love Your Work, and I'm David Cadavy. The theme music for this show is See in You, performed by The Album Leaf, courtesy of Sub Pop Records. Love Your Work is a production of Cademy Inc.